This is the Brave New Coin Crypto Conversation, hosted by Andy Pickering.
Hi everyone, Andy Pickering here. I'm your host and welcome to the Crypto Conversation, a Brave New Coin podcast where we talk to the people building the future in the Bitcoin, blockchain and cryptocurrency space. Hey team, we have a new sponsor here at the Crypto Conversation, BitGet, one of the world's leading copy trading cryptocurrency exchanges. Yes, indeed. What happens if you've got the funds to invest, but you don't have the time to keep track of the market? You still want to make smart money moves. What do you do? Well, copy trading is a popular choice for beginner traders. You can shorten your learning curve by uncovering tips and strategies from more experienced traders. BitGet's copy trading platform has over 80,000 elite traders to choose from and 380,000 followers just like yourself who are already using the BitGet copy trading platform as a potential passive income stream. All it takes is one click. You can subscribe to an elite, profitable strategist, set your limits, automate your orders, and monitor their trades. I've got some links in the show notes below. One link will take you through to the BitGet sign-up page, give you a VIP discount. So learn all about it for yourself thanks to BitGet. And now it is on with the show. My guest today is Lodewijk Beerhuis. Lodewijk is the CEO and co-founder at Delos Digital and Pantheon Mining. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you for having me.
It is a pleasure. Look, let's do what we do at the beginning of the show. It would be great if you could please introduce yourself. I'd love to hear a little bit about your personal and professional story and, really what has led you to getting involved in the wonderful world of Bitcoin mining.
Yes, okay. It's quite a long story, but it's a good one. I will make it kind of short and intriguing, I hope. I used to have two dance festivals in the Netherlands, one in Amsterdam and one at the Formula One circuit in Zandvoort. I produced a ton of music, almost 200 tracks, I think. I had a record label and I DJ'd all across Europe. During these times, I got a little bit connected to crypto in general. It sparked my interest a little bit, but I wasn't fully into it yet. It wasn't until COVID hit and my whole music business kind of went, down the drain, to say the least, that I also came at an age where I was I've accomplished what I could in that scene, and I didn't really see myself at the point as a 50-year-old DJ traveling the world alone. So during these times, I made some money and I invested that into Bitcoin mining, which happened to be in China. This wasn't the most prosperous thing since not shortly after China banned mining, they took all my equipment and I had absolutely zero. But I did see the potential in the market. I tried this again in Kazakhstan. Something similar happened there since all the miners from China came to Kazakhstan, completely overloading the grid and had to switch off during the winters to make sure that people still had electricity in their homes. Again, that was a horrible, horrible thing to happen when you get into mining. But in this case, I called my old business partner, who I also did the festivals with, and I said, listen, this could be such a beautiful business. It's just, in my opinion, full of cowboys and full of untrustworthy people. I think if we do this with our experience in running high-stress environments and etc., that we can make quite a difference here. So we started with Delos, just as mining as a service, basically. We had built quite a nice network during our festival time with a very broad range of individuals, some high net worth, some more retail. And so they were actually quite willing to help us get started. We built everything from sales in that company back then, zero investment still. And we're doing, actually, even though we started during the bear market, we're doing really well, actually. Fast forward a little bit, we noticed that, of course, you want to have your own facilities and and diversify as much as possible, given our history with what can happen with geopolitical things. So right now we are building a few smaller sites in Finland, Sweden, Paraguay, and the UAE. And now we are kind of at the point where we are confident enough that we can scale it. This is kind of a very small way how I got into it.
Oh, that's fascinating. And, funnily enough, I found it fascinating that you sounds like a reasonably successful touring DJ and certainly a festival promoter. Because, yeah, I was a DJ and promoter myself, probably
Oh, nice.
a little bit far long ago than you. But yeah, here in New Zealand, I used to be a dance music DJ and promoter as well. So yeah, cool story. Good to hear.
Nice. Oh, wait, you play disco, right?
I would say in my time as a DJ, I played a little bit of everything: disco, house music, even drum and bass, a little bit of kind of deep techno. How about yourself?
Nice. Yeah. Well, I produced a lot of melodic house, and I wouldn't call it techno. It's more like do you know Black Coffee? A little bit along those lines.
Yes, yes. Okay,
The
interesting.
Ibiza sound, I always call it.
Yeah, yeah. Really nice, gentle, deep. I just call that
Yes.
deep house, but yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of deep house. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Fantastic. A little bit more organic. Yeah. I'm sure we could talk, yeah,
Hours about that. Yes.
music genres, but I guess we should keep it Bitcoin mining. So, well, yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting time, I suppose, coming into Bitcoin mining at the time you did. So I guess this is, yeah, around about after COVID has hit. And yeah, it's interesting, of course, because now the hash rate for the total number of Bitcoin miners on the network has just exploded really since then, since I guess
Yeah.
that China ban, right? It's just gone up and up, and now I think North America is probably the most dominant country, but some of those other countries that you've identified have growing mining footprints as well, don't they?
Yes, absolutely. Like America really took most of the miners that came from China, of course, and they are leader in hash rate, which I find also very interesting because it's not necessarily the best climate for mining in the sense that they don't have the best energy pricings and they're definitely not the cheapest to operate. So they also carry a bit larger risk than other countries that have perfect resources and so a lot of surplus in energy and even all fully sustainable. Of course, America isn't really that sustainable. Around 80% of all their electricity comes from fossil fuels. Not that that matters per se, but in for we are trying to work on the how to say the reputation of Bitcoin also a lot. We noticed that when we started that somehow Bitcoin had a very bad reputation and it's getting really fixed now. People are getting more aware, but we are really trying to contribute to the fact that Bitcoin is one of the most amazing products for energy use in general, in my opinion, because it has so many secondary things it can do, right? You have, of course, grid balancing, you have heat reuse, which is very interesting. In Finland, for instance, since it's always like minus 25 degrees there in Celsius, not Fahrenheit. And so they have permanent district heating on there, else the pipes freeze. You can think of so many things it can do, right? That is all secondary. And I saw I believe it was a few weeks ago that Riot made 4 times more from secondary use than it did from mining itself, which is quite interesting, to be fair. I was,
Yeah,
yeah,
and I think I mean you're exactly right. What's interesting is the way that there's been it's a subtle shift, but it is there's a definite shift in the narrative from Bitcoin being this kind of big, mean, angry, dirty energy producer, which is how everyone has always kind of used the proof of work consensus algorithm as an attack vector against Bitcoin. But I think once I'm not sure if it's tenuous to say it's because of BlackRock's spot Bitcoin ETF and the kind of
Yes.
the weight that BlackRock has to kind of shift the narrative. Suddenly, you're starting to see positive pieces about the potential for Bitcoin mining to
Exactly.
help drive the move to sustainable energy sources around the world. It's interesting.
Absolutely. Well, we both know how large corporations have a lot of influence on what people think through their media channels, and this is exactly one of them, in my opinion. So, yeah, we will see way more of it in the near future, I think, and we will see a global shift in how what people are meant to think about Bitcoin, and they have been able to position themselves quite perfectly in the meantime, right? Because that's also what you can see happening. They
Yes.
bought majority shares in every public listed Bitcoin mining company.
That's
So
right.
they definitely
Yes.
know what they're doing. They definitely know what they're doing. But hats off to them because, well, let's be fair, if we were in a position like that, I think most of people would at least try to do that because it's great for the company, right? Is
100%.
it, yeah, is it emotionally correct? I don't know. But that's yeah. We can we well I always stay a little bit neutral in that because I can say from an emotional perspective that I wouldn't do that, but of course you would, right? I never believe people that say that they don't want to make money. So
Yeah. So, well, tell us again how Pantheon mining works then. So, I can see on your website, so you mentioned some of these different locations. I think on the website you call them projects. So, there's one in the UAE, there's one in Paraguay, one in Finland, or three in the UAE, I guess.
yes, I will connect that also back to the original story. So right, so during our festivals, we met a great variety of people, and some were retail, of course, but also a few were high net worth individuals. So Pantheon really caters to high net worth individuals, and it's really like a white glove mining as a service for wealthy people. This is very niche, and it has a very dedicated small team that really helps people. It's sometimes the educational process takes more than a month, right, before people are really comfortable with putting in a little bit larger sums of money into that, especially private individuals. So that's really what Pantheon caters to. We have a second project called Kodoma, and this will offer fractionalized ownership of a Bitcoin miner, making it possible for retail to come in and start mining from $300, but still own part of the network. Like what I find very important with Bitcoin mining is, especially now that the bigger players are really stepping in, is that it has to be possible for someone with a little bit smaller wallet to get to own part of the network, right? To contribute to the network, I would have to say. And right now, that's pretty much impossible. And with Kodoma, that will be possible. And with Pantheon, it's possible for individuals. I really want to keep pushing that people can be part of this infrastructure and that it shouldn't solely be owned by large-scale miners.
Yeah. And well, that was, of course, the original vision of Bitcoin was, a decentralized global cryptocurrency that anyone with a home computer could mine. But of course, there was, I guess you'd describe it as an arms race in mining power. So we went from CPUs to GPUs, or is it the other way around? And then, on to, the ASIC miners.
Yeah.
And then, it just means that the individual home miner is pretty much, priced out of mining Bitcoin now because the efficiencies are so brutal.
Absolutely. And especially in Europe, it was even more crazy due to the energy crisis, of course. So, well, energy crisis with little... it was kind of interesting how we have an energy crisis since there's an enormous energy surplus. But that aside, it's basically impossible to profit right now, right? But we are still thinking that's also something interesting because people still look at Bitcoin versus $1, euro, etc. So in euros we don't profit, but if you look a bit more long term, the fact that you can still mine this many Bitcoin right now compared to in 10 years from now, it's actually still quite interesting to do it. But or to own a machine, right? The only thing is that, yeah, that's why we really focus on, well, I always call it a golden triangle, basically. So you have to have a good political climate, good infrastructure, and cheap energy, right? If you have those three, then it's probably good to mine. It's very simple. And there are more than enough options in the planet with plenty of space to do this. So I still want someone who could be a home miner to say, okay, I will put it in one of your smaller facilities over there, and still be part of the network for roughly the same they would invest that they would do at home. And it will be only even way cheaper. Like in the Netherlands, you pay sometimes 30 to 40 cents per kilowatt hour. It's crazy. And where we mine, it's $4.50. So it's 10x less, right? It's crazy if you think about that.
Yeah, and so as well as giving people the opportunity to invest in Bitcoin mining as a high net worth individual via Pantheon, or as an individual by Kadoma, you actually sell individual miners as well, though?
Well, we will with Kadoma. We don't do that with Pantheon. Pantheon, the average is around 100K that a client does, but Kadoma can be from $300.
Yeah.
And that's also an educational part, right? So the $300 you could also give to someone as a gift to get into mining, or you can also, as a company, you can promote it, use it as a promotion to give it to someone who you really want to see how it actually works when you own something like that. And it just becomes a way more it's on one side an educational tool, which is also very needed, because it's very, well, you need a lot of education and knowledge before you actually understand Bitcoin mining, right? It's still a lot of abracadabra for most people, and we want to slowly use this to get it more integrated into society, that you listen, you can be part of this decentralized bank, right? Which it basically is. Yeah, you can. I think that's really the most beautiful thing about it. Like, so it also has a little bit of a rebellious touch to it that, yeah, I really want as many people to get into this as possible and get some form of decentralization back, because at the moment it's, of course, in the hands of some very big players, we might say, right?
Yeah, well, and I mean, we said it ourselves, or you said it. It's public knowledge, certainly within the Bitcoin community, that BlackRock, of all people, is heavily invested in the sort of 4 or 5 leading publicly traded Bitcoin mining companies, which is. Yeah, I mean, not to kind of press the point, which is fine, and it's good, but at the same time, we do want Bitcoin to remain decentralized and have as many nodes as possible, as many miners as possible, as many holders as possible, strength in numbers, right?
Exactly, and that's the beauty. Like, it looks like it's impossible, but it's really not. Like, you just have to have the right product. So that's what we differ from the normal self-mining companies. Of course, we also want to do that, but that's also so that we have a stock of miners basically running, that we can also pass through to clients in 2 different shapes, right? One for high net worth individuals and one for more retail. And this way you always have some form of the little rebellion, we could call it, that still owns part of the network, and you cannot really checkmate the entire network, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And of course, what I like is on the Kadoma website, because one question you might ask is, what is the point in buying into fractionalized Bitcoin mining? Why wouldn't a person just buy Bitcoin? It is a good question, but you happily have a profitability breakdown comparison on the website, which compares Kadoma Bitcoin mining versus just simply buying and holding Bitcoin. And of course, you've got interest on savings, cash in the bank, and the S&P 500 as well, just for a nice comparison. And well, I mean, it does look like potentially mining Bitcoin is based on, past performance, certainly.
Yes, absolutely.
It is more profitable than simply buying and holding Bitcoin.
Yes, and what's also interesting, what not that many people speak about, like is it's like a strategy, right? Like a lot of people look at like what am I going to, how much profit does it make today or tomorrow or this month? But what you have to look at in mining, for especially for retail people listening, it's very important, right? So every 4 years you have a very clear side, just the halving cycles. Right now, equipment is very, very cheap. A lot of people tend to get into this market during a bull market because they see the daily profits of mining is very high. But that is really when you lose your money. You should get into this market right now, and every 4 to 5 years you can repeat the same cycle. Think long term. Think 20 years. If you do that, you will outperform. Of course, it's speculation and not financial advice, but you will outperform, I think, any other investment on the planet. And the past 10 years, it has still been the best performing asset ever. So in that being said, like, why wouldn't you want to be part of that network? But do it also at a smart time. So right now is a smart time. Buy into mining when it's low, and then just keep riding the same waves every 4 years, because the equipment has a lifespan of roughly 4 years, 4 to 5 years, depending how good you maintenance them and how much you clean them, right? Which it also makes a great impact on longevity, those little things. And the price of Bitcoin, of course.
Yeah.
But and so if you do this now, and every 4 years you just renew your equipment with your profits, you can build a beautiful portfolio with that on the sidelines, and it costs relatively little because we do everything for you, right? So all you have to do is say yes on an email. Well, cannot be more passive than that, in my opinion.
Very nice, very nice. And of course, as we speak today, according to the Brave New Coin Bitcoin halving countdown to the Bitcoin halving number 4, we're about 202 days away from the next halving. So that puts the next halving at roughly, say, early April next year. So as I say, just over 200 days away. Of course, then the Bitcoin halving will mean that the current block reward of 6.25 Bitcoins will reduce by half to just 3.125 Bitcoins. So it's interesting the way that, this halving cycle plays out, because, generally speaking, probably not much will actually happen on that day. But of course, for the Bitcoin miners, their block rewards will be cut in half. And so there'll be pressure will go on the Bitcoin mining community around the world. The less efficient miners will struggle for a while until, one of two things happens. Either other people drop off, or the price of Bitcoin goes up and compensates.
Correct. There's also a second thing, of course, that's transaction fees. A lot of time when I hear people about mining, they're usually very focused on the block rewards, but you also have transaction fees. They will start to make more and more of an impact as the usage of the network grows, of course, especially when big players come in, right? So you'll have more trading volume and more wallet transactions left to right all over the planet. I think you usually see during bull markets that it makes that really transaction fees shoot up. This one will be very interesting. What will happen? We haven't seen this before. What will happen in the coming bull market? I would say bull market peak, kind of. So I'm very curious how much the transaction fees will be of the total income of miners. I think we might be shocked, because last time we saw $60 per transaction. It might be a lot higher this time. So that's also something to think about. You're not only stuck on block rewards, but what is very interesting is that I talked during the start about America not necessarily having the cheapest energy prices, right? So there's a lot of older gen miners there, and a lot around the planet. Around 30% of all the miners online right now are mining between 7 and 8.5 cents, and they're all older, like relatively older gen. they're all going to become unprofitable. So that will drop off definitely during this halving. Last time we saw only a 6% hash rate drop during the halving. I think this time it will be much more. But it's still speculation, but I think it will have quite an impact on the block rewards in combination with the transaction fees. It's going to be a really interesting storm to watch. Next to that, of course, the average pricing in America is like $7 per kilowatt hour, right? For instance, we can self-mine at $2.50 in some locations, undisclosed for now. But if we position ourselves, we can even mine with a little bit less than the newest gen miners. They're still very profitable after the halving, unless Bitcoin drops to 20K, then, which I won't think it do.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting. So with small scale mining, you can do a lot of very smart little things that large scale miners don't usually have access to, right?
Right. You can be much more nimble. Yes,
exactly. Which is also a nice tactic to fight the giants, right?
Yes. And look, I mean, you are exactly right. It's you talked about the storm that is coming, if you like, and you can use that metaphor in a positive way or a negative way. But I think it's just, we talk about these narratives around BlackRock, around the spot ETF application, which I think the latest date that the SEC can push that out to is it falls roughly 3 or 4 weeks before the halving date. So I think there are probably some serious tailwinds that are lining up to, if nothing else, push Bitcoin back onto the global media stage, really. And just once Bitcoin starts to get attention again, maybe some positive market pickup, then all bets are off as to what happens with Bitcoin over the next 12 months, let alone the next decade. But it feels like it's going to be an exciting decade ahead.
Oh, absolutely. I really think, and the company as well, we have a really long-term vision. So we don't look at today, now, tomorrow. It's what can we accomplish in the next 20 years with this? Because if you do that correctly, you can have a beautiful company, of course, but you can also help so many people have such a financial independence, which is also a great feeling. Let's be honest, if you could be part of that journey with them, and you can do this it's like I keep saying the word rebellious, but you can keep having those small guerrilla mining sites that actually even perform better than the large scale miners. Performance wise, and that's what makes this so interesting. Like you don't have to fight anyone, you just join together. And I'm also really curious in where miner technology will go, because we are kind of reaching the limits of how small they can make the transistors and the chips, right? So they're now at 5 nanometer and they're going to 3, but it's the same thing we see with CPUs, right? You don't see that many CPUs faster than 5 gigahertz at the moment. It's kind of topped out, really, and the same is happening with ASIC miners. I mean, they can put more hash boards in, but that doesn't necessarily make it that much more efficient. In the last 6 years, they became almost 10 times more efficient, and now we're looking at a 0.4 times more efficient. So, with that being said, have you ever looked into photon technology? So they are really busy with that. Photon, it's very interesting. I wonder if they can really do it. I have heard the rumors that they pulled it off already to have a 300 terahash miner at 30 watts. Well, if that's true, then then that will be the next thing I'm really looking into. I'm really discussing with a partner in the business who is very close to the development of these things, to dive deeper into that. But that would make it, on the one end, very interesting. On the other end, it would remove a lot of the grid balancing capabilities and other things that it's good for now, and it will make zero heat. So then we lose two. It will become super efficient, but we also lose two very good use cases of it. So even if it's possible, I will wonder how fast something like that will be implemented. I think it will be mostly used for profit for the ones creating it at first.
Fascinating indeed. All right. Well, look, as we finish off this part of the podcast, just, for anyone listening and they're intrigued by both of the different options, Pantheon Mining and, of course, Kadoma, tell people where they should go to learn more and perhaps find out what they need to know to look into engaging with your services and products.
Yeah, well, the easiest is our websites, which is pantheonmining.com, or for retail, Kadoma.io. And if you cannot remember those names, the parent company is called Delos, stripedigital.com, and that one usually sticks with you the easiest. But and of course you can also reach out to me personally on LinkedIn. If you can pronounce my name, it should be fairly easy.
and of course, listeners, to make it easy, I'll just put links in the show notes to this episode. But I think what we'll do is let's go to a very quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll finish off with the very famous Crypto Conversation Hot Take Round. Back in 1 second.
Look, we'd all like to say we're pro traders, but the reality is we're probably not. But with BitGet, you don't have to be. Why? Because BitGet is the world's largest copy trading exchange. Instead of you muddling through it on your own, feel confident. BitGet allows you to automatically copy trade from over 80,000 elite traders with 24/7 support on our secure copy trading platform. Start following expert traders on bitget.com. Check for details in the show notes and join BitGet today.
All right, we're back, and I'm with Lodewijk Beerhuis. He is the CEO and co-founder at Delos Digital, which of course runs Kadoma for retail investors looking to get involved with fractional Bitcoin mining. And of course, if you're a high net worth, then look into Pantheon, making Bitcoin mining accessible to all, white glove service. Links are in the show notes. Lodewijk, I like to finish each podcast with a quick round of rapid fire crypto conversation hot takes. Are you up for it?
Yes, let's go.
Let's go. I'm just going to run some questions at you. Just want, honest hot take style answers. No right or wrong way to do it. Question 1 for you is, where would you say that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
I am more on the Bitcoin maximalist.
Fair enough. As a Bitcoin miner, you should be. All right. Well, what would you say is your firmest conviction crypto opinion?
That I think all altcoins will disappear and only Bitcoin will be left.
I love it. Okay. Bill Gates famously said that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. So with that in mind, Bitcoin mining as an industry, what do you think it looks like in 10 years' time?
Well, perfection is a lot of little things done right. So in essence, in 10 years from now, I think it will be a more massive store of value, and there will be large-scale banks that will create credit lines for people with Bitcoin, making it almost an infinite, your own infinite little bank. I think that's where we're going pretty quickly in the next 10 years.
Very nice. Very nicely said. Okay, so sci-fi author William Gibson said that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. With that in mind, can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people aren't aware of it?
Yes, I think there's a huge change coming because I think the fiat and the empires at play right now are coming slowly to an end. The average lifespan of an empire is 250 years. For instance, America is at 245 years old. So that will be very exciting. And then what is going to be next to pick it up? Well, I think Bitcoin will play a large role in this as something to hold on to. And from there, I think a lot of new things will start happening. But in the basis, I really think that Bitcoin is going to help survive the chaos that is coming.
I love it. Okay, let's reverse it. What are some of the threats that is there anything that keeps you up at night? What do you worry about that could potentially impact Bitcoin? Are there any existential threats remaining?
Well, not at the moment, because I think Bitcoin is, well, it's one of the only cryptos, let's say, that doesn't have a CEO, and that's why it's so safe.
Yes.
The rest all have CEOs, and they can just, well, Ethereum as a great example. Oh, we stop proof of work. Well, that cannot happen with Bitcoin, and I kind of love that. So that's why I think it will be the only thing that is truly safe. The rest is people make mistakes, computers don't, you know?
Couldn't agree more. Okay, time to get weird just for a second. If we zoom out, what do you see as the long-term future for the human race? Do you see dystopia or utopia?
I see utopia, but we have to get more. We have to start making more children. We are, and at 2040, the population will start really declining pretty heavily, and that's not a good thing. So. That's the biggest one. We underestimate how terrifying that is. It's way more terrifying than all the so-called climate change or other blah blah blah. It's all bullshit. Like, this is the big one, the population decline.
Elon Musk talks about that quite a bit, doesn't he?
Oh yes, he does. Yeah.
All right, let's finish this off. Final question: what is your favorite science fiction book, film, or TV show?
Star Wars. I love that.
Nice. Me too. Very good. All right. Well, we reached the end of the show, really. Hey, it has been a pleasure talking to you today. Nothing else to say, really, except, again, could you please shout out your Twitter profile or your LinkedIn and, of course, those websites? And look, just make the case for why people should come and explore Kadoma and Pantheon.
Absolutely. So my Twitter handle is @LodewijkBTC. So just my first name with BTC. I can also be found on LinkedIn just as my normal name. And the websites are pantheonmining.com, Kadoma.io for the retail, and DelosStripeDigital.com for the more overview of everything that we do.
Awesome.
So I want to thank you also, Andy, for having me.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. All the best, and bye for now.
All the best. Ciao.
All right, there you go. There was Lodewijk Beerhuis. Fascinating talking to, a fellow old school DJ. Not as old school as probably I am, but quite an interesting story pivoting from DJing, festival promoting to Bitcoin mining. I like it. I can relate. That was fun. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned something. Links to Pantheon and Kadoma are, of course, in the show notes. But hey, we reached the end of another episode. Thank you for listening, team. Please do make sure you are subscribed to the Crypto Conversation in whatever podcast app you are using. But that is today's episode. Thanks for listening. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave New Coin.